My daughter crashed my car and demanded, "You'll give me the insurance money." When the full amount finally came through, she showed up, expecting a payday. But instead of cash, I calmly handed her a document. As her eyes raced over the words, her confidence vanished. She looked up at me and whispered, "Don't do this. I beg you. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you." I turned into the driveway at 11:42 p.m., headlights sliding over my garage like a searchlight. For a second, I didn't understand what I was seeing. Then the shapes locked into place. Glittering shards where the windshield used to be, a starburst in the rear window, side mirrors hanging by wires like broken wrists. My blue SUV sat there, caved in as if a small storm had chosen only this rectangle of concrete. I killed the engine, and the quiet made everything louder. The ticking hood, a neighbor's TV laugh track, the distant hum of the train. I opened my door, and the night air smelled like cold and rain that never arrived. Glass crunched under my shoes as I walked around the SUV. The headlamps had been smashed with something heavy, wood or metal, not random. The hood wore a dozen new dents, shallow arcs that matched a swing, reset, swing again. The driver's door had 3 neat, deliberate kicks, not chaos, effort. I raised my phone, thumbed the camera, flash on, front, back, sides, door handles, the spiderweb in the passenger window, close-ups of hinge scratches, and the little crescent divots where a tool slipped. I narrated for the mic, date, time, weather, location. The words made the scene feel like evidence instead of a nightmare. A porch light snapped on across the street. Gerald Freeman, in a bathrobe, hand shading his eyes. "Lorraine, that you?" "Yeah." I kept my voice even. He shuffled down 2 steps, stopped when the glass caught his light. "Geez, what happened? Came home to this. Damn shame." He hugged his robe tighter. "Kids, I don't know yet." He nodded at the SUV like it could nod back. "We heard something earlier, a thump or two. Thought it was that wind." Brenda said it sounded like a trash can fell over. "What time?" I asked. 10-ish, maybe 10:30. We were watching some baking competition. She remembered better. He made no move to get her. "Thanks," I said. "You going to call the cops?" "I'm going to document." I kept filming and angled the phone so the porch light made the gouges gleam. "If I call now, they'll send a cruiser to shrug at it." I heard my tiredness. I turned the camera back to the dents. "They'll want pictures anyway." Gerald nodded, relieved at not having to host any drama. "Well, if you need anything, I'll holler." He retreated. Porch light blinked off. I was alone with the wreck and my pulse. I opened the door carefully, and glass chimed off the rubber mats. Someone had gone for the instrument cluster. The plastic face was cracked and the steering wheel had a scuff like a ring had caught it. The glove box hung open. Papers spilled like a tongue. I lifted a maintenance envelope with 2 fingers. Oil change coupon. Registration. Insurance card. Northline. I read softly. Policy number, ending 119. I filmed all of it. I thought of the deductible. I thought of the overtime I'd worked last week instead of sleeping to keep a cushion in the account. I thought of what people always say, "That's what insurance is for," and felt my jaw lock. I backed out, brushed glass from my sleeves, and called the non-emergency line. The operator hit her script. "Any suspects?" "Not yet." "Any cameras?" "Doorbell?" "Yes, I'll pull the footage. An officer can swing by in the morning." "Is that acceptable?" "Yes," I said. I ended the call and opened the doorbell app. The timeline had gray bars where motion-triggered recordings, 10:07 p.m., A-shape at the edge. The wide angle made it warp, but the movement was purposeful. A hoodie, a long object lifted and brought down with a clean, steady rhythm. My stomach tightened. There was a pause. The person stepped away, returned, checked the street, swung again, precise, like finishing a job. The face stayed turned down. I replayed the clip 3 times, looking for any slip, a reflex, a tell, a familiar slope of shoulder. Nothing. Only the certainty that whoever did it wasn't scared of the noise, wasn't improvising. I downloaded the clip, labeled it with the time and my address, then created a new folder, Vehicle Incident. I dragged in the photos, the video, the call log. I texted myself the folder link. Paper and teeth, Vanessa Cole had said the first time I met her, talking about how you move something from bad thing to action. Paper and teeth. I hadn't needed her since last year. Tonight, the words returned like muscle memory. I popped the hood. More dents underneath. A deep one near the latch, like a hammer had glanced. I couldn't tell if there was engine damage. I filmed anyway. The night had gone colder. The air lifted the hair on my arms. I checked the time again. 11:58. I looked up the claims number and started a draft message. Vehicle vandalism discovered upon arriving home. Evidence collected. Doorbell footage available. Requesting assessment. I stopped before writing motive. There wasn't a clean way to tell a stranger what I felt in my bones. The neighborhood was quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you think everyone is listening. I pictured the HOA message board filling by morning with screenshots and thoughts and prayers. And what kind of person does this? I imagined the thread reaching the people who matter and the one person who matters most. I turned off the garage light and stood in the center of the driveway. My reflection in the side of the SUV was broken into puzzle pieces. I tried to fit them back together with my eyes. Didn't work. Inside, I kicked my shoes off and left a trail of glass. I vacuumed it up, then paused and shot the mess in the nozzle like proof of the proof. I opened the fridge, stared at leftover pasta, shut it again. I put on coffee, though I didn't need it. The clock over the sink climbed to 12:11 in the living room. I set the phone on the coffee table, camera facing the ceiling, and pressed record. Statement, I said. Lorraine Hayes, returning from work, found vehicle vandalized. I listed the damages. I described the method. I said the word deliberate. I didn't say anyone's name. When your world has been rocked by a person you love, the part of your brain that still hopes does everything it can to stall your mouth. My phone buzzed with a calendar alert. Morning meeting at 9. I imagined trying to be normal. I pictured the polite nods, the jokes about Mondays, even though it was Tuesday now. The glaze that would slide over their eyes if I tried to explain the weight in my chest. I dismissed the alert and set one for 7 a.m. Call insurer, another for 8:30. Pull USB drive for officer, another for 8. Download full doorbell clip, archive. The front curtains shifted with a draft. A car crept past slow, then continued. I watched its taillights fade and realized I was holding my breath. Thought my phone buzzed again. A text badge blinked on the lock screen from a number I knew by heart without looking. Jasmine, we should talk. The coffee went cold in my hand. For 5 long seconds, I stared at the message like it might rearrange itself into something harmless. Maybe she'd seen posts. Maybe she was checking on me. Maybe she was ready to be the person I kept waiting for. I set the mug down, thumb hovering over the keyboard, and told myself to keep breathing. I thought of the last time we'd spoken. A week. 2, when she'd called from a parking lot to ask for money. The way she'd hung up before I reached the sentence where I say I love you. I thought of the I'll figure it out that had sounded like a threat. Another message arrived before I could type. Jasmine, are you home? I looked at the door, at the SUV dark in the window, at the tiny glittering line of glass I'd missed beneath the chair. I typed, deleted, typed again. Me, yes. What's going on? No reply. The 3 dots blinked, stopped, blinked again. I stood, set my phone to do not disturb, except for favorites, then added her to the exception. I opened the recorder app, checked storage, cleared out last month's grocery list and a voice memo from a lecture I'd never re-listened to. I launched the recorder again and left it minimized on the home screen. This time, I wouldn't trust my memory to carry the weight. The house felt suddenly small. I checked the deadbolt. I checked the back door. I sat, stood, sat again. The clock climbed 1 minute at a time. I told myself not to imagine anything. My brain did it anyway. Headlights turned onto our street and threw twin beams across the far wall. They washed over the family photos. Samuel's smile in summer light. Jasmine at 10 with a cake in front of her. Me with my arm around both of them on a hike where we'd gotten caught in rain and laughed all the way back to the car. The light slid past, then reversed. Tires whispered against curb. Jasmine, I'm outside. My thumb hovered over call. I didn't press it. I rose and walked to the window but kept to the side so the living room was a mirror. The beams tilted, narrowing until they painted 2 bright ovals on the garage door. The engine idled. I couldn't see her through the glare. I took a breath that felt like a decision, picked up my phone, and flipped the recorder into the foreground. The red bar pulsed. I looked at the front door and told my heart to keep time. Her headlights swung into my drive. I opened the door before she could knock. Night air and cold car exhaust slipped past her into the hallway. Jasmine stood there in a hoodie and black leggings, hair in a high knot like she'd done it with one hand while walking. Her eyes flicked over my shoulder, taking inventory the way people do when they're deciding how hard to push. "Hi, Mama," she said, voice flat, familiar, and not. "Come in," I said. She stepped across the threshold and paused to look at the window. The SUV's broken silhouette showed in the glass like a shadow puppet. You saw it, I said. Everyone saw it, she said, and gave a small, humorless laugh. This street gossips. I shut the door. The lock thumped. I kept my phone low and casual in my right hand. On screen, a red bar pulsed, then vanished into the dim as I tilted it. Do you want coffee? I asked. No. She glanced at the family photos on the wall, then away, fast. We should talk. Pay in the living room. She didn't sit. She stayed standing, arms loose, chin up a degree too high. I stood across from her with the coffee table between us like a witness. You wouldn't give me the money, she said. For what? For me? She said it like the word was a category. Rent, car, image, everything. You always say no and then you lecture. I said no because you think I don't deserve help. The speed of it, the angle, she'd rehearsed. I think you deserve better than this, I said. I nodded toward the driveway. She followed my look and shrugged like the weather had changed. You have insurance. Insurance isn't a magic trick. Then it's a process, she said. You love processes. Silence pulled the room tight. The phone warmed against my palm. I watched the tendons in her throat stand out, a small tell from when she was a kid trying not to cry. Jasmine, I said, tell me what happened. She rolled her eyes. Then, for one beat, they softened. The face I used to know flashed through like light behind a cloud. It was gone before I could reach for it. I did it, she said. Thought the words landed in my chest like a heavy book. No wobble, no uncertainty. She said it clear like she was ordering at a counter. I kept my voice steady. You're telling me you destroyed my car? Yes, Mama. She met my eyes now, daring me to look away. I destroyed your car. Why? You wouldn't give me the money. She tilted her head, hair scraping hoodie. So I decided insurance would. My finger tightened on the phone. The recorder app's tiny timer flicked forward. My heart counted along. This is criminal, I said. Drama much? She smiled, small and sharp. No one gets hurt. Someone did. I felt my pulse in my teeth. Me. You'll get it back, she said, slow and patient, like explaining to a child. You file the claim. They pay out. End of story. It isn't the end, I said. It will be, if you don't make it into one. She inhaled, exhaled. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to pick up what you owe me. I waited. $5,000, she said. The sound of it was practiced, like a number she'd said a lot lately. Cash is easiest. You're demanding $5,000 from me because you vandalized my car. She flinched, almost nothing, at the word vandalized. Her mouth thinned. Don't be dramatic, she said again. You have insurance. I set the phone on the edge of the coffee table, screen down, mic unobstructed. I straightened a framed photo of her at 10 with chocolate frosting on her cheek. The frame had tilted. It righted with a click. How did you do it? I asked. She blinked. Does it matter? It matters to me. I kept my voice level, and it's my house. Her shoulders squared. A new posture slid over her like a jacket. Windshields are tougher than they look, she said. If you hit from the corner, it caves easier. Headlights go quicker. Mirrors are mostly plastic. She looked toward the front window like she could see her work again. You take your time. You finish the job. Each sentence was a nail in a board. Did anyone help you? No. There was pride there, bright and ugly. I don't need help. I nodded once. I could feel the shape of this talk now. The moves, the trap inside the gift. She'd come to confess because she thought it bought her leverage. She'd built a little stage where she was the only one with lines. You did this because I told you no, I said. You told me no, after years of telling me yes, and then resenting it, she said. You don't get to play generous gatekeeper anymore. Either you help or you don't. Not like this. Everything is like this. She gestured vaguely. Life, bills, the street, the air, everyone gets what they can. You taught me that when you taught me to polish a resume to look better than I was. That isn't what I taught you. She laughed. It had no warmth. It's what I learned. The coffee in the kitchen had gone cold. The house smelled faintly burned. My jaw ached. Here's what happens, she said. Brisk now, businesslike. You file the claim, first thing. You send me the payout when it lands. We're done. She paused. With me not making this worse. She let the words sit. People are watching. You think they're on your side because you play the sad widow. They're not. They love drama more. You think you can hurt me more than you already have, I said. She tilted her head again. You'd be surprised. The clock over the sink ticked loud enough to hear from here. I thought of the doorbell clip on my phone. The angle of the swing, the way she checked the street. I thought of the way she tucked the hammer at her side like it was part of her arm. I thought of my voice on the recorded statement saying deliberate. Say it again, I said. She frowned. What you did? She rolled her eyes. I destroyed your car. My thumb slid along the phone's edge as if to calm it. The recorder caught the tiny rasp of skin on glass. I let the silence stretch. She filled it. You can have 2 days, she said. By Friday, cash. Or what? She smiled. Steady this time. I'll fix it my way. You mean you'll lie? I said. I mean I'll tell a story, she said. And I'll tell it loud. People will believe it. They already almost do. I pictured a cut clip, my voice pasted under a threat it never delivered, a comment section with my name built into a punchline. I pictured the HOA, the church foyer, the raised eyebrows in a grocery store aisle. Don't do that, I said. Then don't make me. She checked her phone, thumbs hovering, then sliding. Friday, cash. I took a breath that tasted like metal. Sit down, I said. 5 minutes. Listen. No. She pocketed her phone. You listen, Jasmine, Mama. The word hit me harder than any sentence so far. She said it like a warning, not a connection. You'll get the money. It's already set up. It's literally what insurance is for. Insurance is for accidents, I said. Not for crimes. They'll never know, she said. I will. She held my stare to beats. 3. Something flickered there again. Young, unsure, the kid who used to check my face to see if the joke had landed. Then that face shut a door. The latch clicked behind her eyes. She turned toward the hallway. I'll call you next week to arrange pickup, she said. Cash would be easiest. She took a step, then another. I didn't go after her. I stood where I was and listened to my house sound like someone else's. At the door. She paused, hand on the knob, and aimed one last line like a dart. Don't make me fix it my way, she said. It won't be pretty. The knob turned. Cold air rushed in. She stepped onto the porch. The door closed with the hollow sound of a lid. I stood still, phone warm in my hand, the red bar on screen pulsing like a heartbeat. The family photos on the wall watched me not move. The house listened to my breathing. My phone vibrated once. A new voicemail badge appeared. Unknown number. I opened it and put the call on speaker. A male voice, careful and cheerful, filled the room. Hi, this is Northline calling to confirm we received your after-hours claim message. An assessor can be on site tomorrow after 9. Your deductible is $500. We'll email a checklist tonight. The voicemail ended. The quiet pressed in. Again. Another vibration. A text from an unknown local number lit the lock screen. Unknown. We should talk about keeping this private. I stared at the words until the letters swam. I tapped the contact card. No name. The profile photo was blank. The phone buzzed once more before I could type. Unknown. I can help, but you need to make this easy. I looked at the door Jasmine had just closed, then at the window where the SUV sat like a problem with edges. I lowered the phone and felt the shape of the next move assemble itself the way a tool does in your hand. The number texted again, this time with my address. Morning arrived like a summons. I woke before the alarm, stared at the ceiling, and replayed the red bar pulsing on my phone. The house smelled like old coffee. I showered cold to keep my head clear, then laid out what I needed on the kitchen table. The doorbell clip on a USB drive, a folder of photos, my recorded statement, and a page of time-stamped notes in block letters so I wouldn't start improvising. At 8:01 a.m., I called A rep confirmed the voicemail and read back the basics. We have an assessor window after 9. Your deductible is $500. You'll receive an email with a checklist, photos, police incident number, repair estimates if available. Good, I said. Send it. The unknown number from last night had texted twice more while I slept. Unknown. I can make this go away. Unknown. Discretion matters. I didn't answer. I forwarded the string to my own email and added it to the folder. Paper and teeth. At 9:13 a.m., a silver sedan rolled to the curb. A man in a Northline windbreaker stepped out. Late 40s, hair-cropped clothes, tablet under his arm. He glanced up and down the street with the studied neutrality of someone who gets watched for a living. Morning, he said, crossing the walk. I'm Daniel. Heard about the claim. I opened the garage and let him see it all at once. His eyebrows lifted a millimeter, then reset. He flipped open the tablet and started a new entry. Vehicle vandalism. Yes, I said. Discovered last night at 11:42 p.m. He nodded at the phrasing. Clean. Useful. and began circling the SUV with a practiced pace. Any known suspects? I have a recording of a person in a hoodie with a blunt instrument, face turned away. I kept my voice even. I will provide that footage along with stills, okay? He squatted by the rear window and ran a finger along the inner lip of the shattered glass without touching the shards. Rear defroster cut, windshield fully compromised, headlamps smashed, side mirrors damaged. He looked at me. You didn't attempt to move the vehicle. No good keeps the scene clear. He took close-ups, then wide shots. He asked for the VIN. I read it off the dash and he repeated it back. The tablet chimed. Okay. Based on visible damage and standard rates, preliminary payout estimate falls around $7,300. He tapped his screen again. With your $500 deductible. The numbers landed like a metronome ticking off beats I could use. Understood, I said. I watched him log the estimate, then hold the camera for a final pass. He kept his tone neutral, but his eyes flicked to my face in a quick check most adjusters do when they suspect a fight. I gave him nothing. We'll need a police incident number, he said, standing. Officer may swing by later. They said morning. Great. When you get that number, reply to the email you just received and attach your media. Our system supports up to 100 megabytes. We can also provide a secure upload link if the video file's larger. It's small, I said. The doorbell system compresses. Okay. He printed a small adhesive tag from a portable printer on his belt and stuck it on the inside of my windshield like a hospital bracelet. Claim ID repairs, he asked. I'll wait for your go, I said. I want the officer to see it intact. He nodded, closed the tablet. You should see movement within 48 hours, he said. When he left, the street resumed its watchful silence. I took a breath and felt the next step settle in, like a weight onto a hook. I went inside and printed the transcript. It wasn't pretty. The recorder app had captured everything. My questions in clipped, careful lines, her answers clear. The printer laid each page like a card in a trick. I did it. I destroyed your car. You file the claim. $5,000. Cash is easiest. You'll send me the payout. Don't make me fix it my way. I clipped the pages, slid them into a plastic sleeve, then added a cover page with the date and time, the model of phone, the recorder app's version number, and a statement that the recording was made in my home with my device. Paper and teeth. The doorbell buzzed at 10:02. A young officer with a calm face stood on the step, his partner a step back, eyes on the street. Morning. I'm Officer Martinez. You reported vehicle vandalism. I walked them through it without names, without theory. I showed the doorbell clip. I handed over a thumb drive with the videos and stills. Officer Martinez watched the loop twice, then looked at me with a small, knowing tilt of his head. We'll log this and give you an incident number, he said. If you identify a suspect, you can file a supplemental. In the meantime, don't engage. Let us do the part that's ours. I nodded. I understand. He handed me a card with the number printed in clean black. I scanned it with my phone and attached the PDF to the email to The adjuster's reply came back in under a minute. Received, thank you. A second later, secure link for full resolution file, as discussed. Pieces click. I sent the full clip and asked for confirmation. Then, I dialed a number I hadn't called in months. Vanessa Cole, the voice said, warm and clear. It's Lorraine, I said. Hey. In that single syllable, she placed me. Recent enough client carried weight. Not a routine check-in. What's going on? I need to come in, I said. I have a recording, texts, an incident number, and a claim in process. Someone I love committed criminal damage and is attempting to extort the insurance payout. I want to discuss civil options. There was a small pause while she rearranged her morning. 12:30, she said. Bring everything. I packed the folder, the USB drives, the printed transcript. I took one last look at the SUV and felt the anger return. Clean this time, not the meteor shower of the night before. I locked the door and drove to Vanessa's office with the steadiness of someone carrying a glass. Full to the rim. Her office was 2 floors up in a building that used to be a bank. Marble lobby, safe deposit vault, turned conference room. Vanessa shook my hand and didn't waste time. She read the transcript like a surgeon reading scans. She made small marks with a pencil, margins only, never on the words. Okay, she said after the second pass. This is good. Painful, but good. You didn't lead, you asked. She volunteered. You mirrored, you captured time, you captured motive, you captured the ask. $5,000. Cash is easiest. Send me the payout. That's extortion, if tied to an act, which she provided. You have the doorbell clip as corroboration of method. The insurance process is already in motion with numbers. This is a clean paper trail. I let out air I didn't know I'd held. She paged through the text prints next. The unknown number she annotated with a question mark. Who's this? Don't know yet, I said. Feels like an advisor. She nodded. We can subpoena subscriber info later if need be. What's the move? I asked. Vanessa, set the pencil down. 2 tracks. Criminal is the state's business. If you want to go that route, you give the detective her name. We hand over the transcript and video and the state decides. It will blow everything up fast. And civil puts you in control. She slid a blank document toward me. Demand for restitution and cease and desist. We draft a letter that lays out the act, the admissions, the damages. The Northline estimate around $7,300 and your deductible, $500. We include a proposed settlement agreement, restitution in installments with clear dates, non-contact, boundaries, mandatory counseling or classes, and a written apology. If she signs, we file it with the court so it has teeth. If she refuses or violates, we file a civil complaint for property damage and intentional infliction, and we seek additional damages and costs. Serving her papers, I said. Yes. She threatened to fix it her way. I said, online, public. Then, the letter includes a cease and desist for defamation, Vanessa said, and we collect every post, every comment. The truth travels slower, but it wins when it has exhibits. She tapped the transcript. Now you have exhibits. I thought of Jasmine's face at the door, the tilt of her chin, the tiny flash of the kid she used to be. I could hear Samuel's voice in my head. Steady, kind, decisive, do the right thing and let the rest be noise. Draft it, I said. Vanessa nodded once. She spun her monitor so I could watch. She typed in short, precise sentences. She pulled exact phrases from the transcript and dropped them into quotes. She inserted the numbers, $500 deductible, $7,300 estimate. She flagged the unknown number texts as communications by an agent of yours or a third party cooperating with you. She kept the tone firm, not cruel. She ended with a choice and a deadline. Sign the settlement by 5 p.m. Friday or expect service of process. She printed 2 copies. I read every line. I initialed the places she highlighted in yellow. She slid a carbon paper form for the process service. Name, last known address, physical description. My hand shook once, then steadied. You understand, she said. Softer now. This is you setting a boundary, not ending a family. What she does next is hers. I know, I said. It felt like choosing to breathe. We stood. She gathered the packet into an envelope with her letterhead and slid it into a larger one addressed to a process server she liked. Fast, discreet, careful around family dynamics. I'll email you the PDF the moment it's in their hands, she said, and I'll call when service is complete. On my way out, my phone buzzed. Northline assessment confirmed. Preliminary payout approximately $7,300 less, $500 deductible, awaiting repair selection. Then, another buzz. The unknown number again. Unknown. People are already talking. Handle this quietly. I put the phone face down in my pocket and pressed the elevator button like it was the point where the track switches. Back home, I sent Vanessa the doorbell clip in full resolution and copied the detective's email on the incident update. I put the settlement packet on my kitchen table and stared at it like a photograph that could change. It didn't. At 3:41 p.m., Vanessa called. Courier picked up. She said, server is in motion. Given the address you gave, I'd expect contact this evening. How do I prepare? I asked. You don't, she said. You live. Let the system do its part. I stood in the doorway and watched my street be ordinary. A delivery van rolled past. A kid on a bike cut a clean arc and disappeared around the corner. The SUV sat in the driveway like a lesson. At 6:22 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. A single line. Vanessa, service green lit. He's at her door now. At 6:27 p.m., Vanessa's text hit. Served. She took the packet. No incident. I exhaled and didn't trust the calm. With Jasmine, the quiet before the turn was always the part that stung. The first sign arrived as a vibration against my palm, my phone lighting up with a notification that wasn't from Vanessa or the insurer. Jasmine Hayes has started a live video. I didn't tap it. I set the phone face down on the table like it might bite. Through the glass, I saw the reflection of my own face go still. A minute passed, then another. A car door thunked outside, voices blurred, then sharpened. I opened the door to the sound of my name shaped by a crowd that wasn't there. It took a second to realize what I was hearing was a chorus of digital comments read aloud by Jasmine's friend, Lorraine Hayes. The friend announced to a phone held high, refuses to help her own daughter. Jasmine stood at the end of my walkway, hoodie up, packet from Vanessa in her left hand, her right hand lifting her phone at a flattering angle. The red live tag in the corner glowed like a wound. Her face was arranged into a practiced piece, wounded but brave. I stepped onto the porch. The air was cool and tasted like iron. Gerald and Brenda Freeman's porch light flicked on across the street. Blinds shifted. 2 more porch lights pinged alive up the block. "Turn that off," I said, keeping my voice even. "We're just talking," her friend said, bright and innocent. Transparency. Jasmine kept her eyes on the phone screen until the viewer count ticked up, then looked at me as if surprised to see an actual person. "This is my mother," she said to her audience, not to me. "She just sent a stranger to my apartment to threaten me with legal papers, instead of helping me like a real parent would." "You were served a settlement offer," I said, not quite to her and not quite to the camera. "It lays out restitution, counseling, and boundaries. It's an alternative to court. You hear that?" She asked her viewers. Boundaries. She almost smiled. She loves words that make her sound reasonable. The friend swung the phone to catch my face. I stayed still. Somewhere, a dog barked twice and stopped. "Please leave my property," I said. "You can call my attorney with questions. You can give me the money you promised," she said, smooth as a sales pitch. I promised nothing. She held up Vanessa's envelope like a trophy. "She thinks this scares me," she told the Live. "She thinks paper is power. Paper is accountability," I said. "Wow," the friend breathed, as if tasting the word. "That's a good line." I didn't bother to answer. Over Jasmine's shoulder, I saw a black compact car ease to the curb, hazard lights blinking. A woman in a gray jacket climbed out with the wary confidence of someone who spends her life being where she shouldn't have to be. She held up her hands, palms out. "Evening," she said mildly. "Denise Porter, Auntie Denise. Not my sister, not by blood. Samuel's best friend since college. Honorary auntie at birthdays. The woman who could fix a garbage disposal with a butter knife and a smile. I hadn't seen her in months. She took in the phones, the neighbors, the ruined SUV, and slid into a roll like it was a jacket. "Let's keep this private," she said, voice pitched for calm. "No need to embarrass anybody." Jasmine's chin tilted. "I invited you, I know." She held my eyes, then hers. "Which is why, sweetheart, we're going to put the cameras down and we're going to step inside and we're going to find a way to make this not a neighborhood circus." "Inside," I said. "No." Denise gave me the smallest shake of the head, not defiance, a plea. "We all want this to cool down," she said. "Keep it off the internet." "It's already on the internet," I said. She looked at Jasmine's phone. The viewer count climbed again. "Then let's not feed it," she said. For a beat, the 3 of us stood in a triangle. The live stream caught all the geometry and fed it to hundreds of people who knew none of us. 5 minutes, Denise said to me, lowering her voice. "Kitchen table, I'll get the phone off. I won't be ambushed in my house," I said. "I'm here," she said. "Nothing crazy is going to happen with me in the room." Which was maybe the problem. The last time Denise mediated, I'd walked away carrying the whole cost with a smile because she'd framed it as love. "No," I said again, more gently. "Not tonight." She held the line 1 more second, then let it go. "Okay," she said. "Then we talk here." Jasmine sighed theatrically. "Mama won't even let me in the house," she told the Live. She changed. I kept my gaze on Denise. "You texted me last night," I said. "Unknown number. We should talk about keeping this private. Was that you?" Denise's eyebrows did a flicker. Jasmine's friend's phone dipped, then rose, as if the hand holding it had to remember its job. "My number's not unknown," Denise said easily. "But yeah, I reached out. I didn't want this to get ugly." "Too late," I said. Jasmine stepped forward just enough to make the camera reframe her. "Here's what's going to happen," she said. "You're going to stop with the legal threats. You're going to send me the payout when it lands. And you're going to stop trying to control me with boundaries like I'm a dog." Denise winced at the last word. "Jasmine," she said, "you asked me to come." She snapped without taking her eyes off me. Then she pitched, her voice gentle. "Mama, please don't make me fix it my way. The algorithm loves that tone." The viewer count pinged again. "You mean lie?" I said. I mean, tell the truth with context, she said smoothly, like how you screamed at me and grabbed my arm when I asked for help last month. I let silence sit there, cold and heavy. Gerald's porch light brightened a notch, automatic timer hitting its next step. Brenda appeared behind him, arms folded, face drawn in sympathy. For whom? It didn't matter. The pose itself played. You and I both know what happened last month, I said, and we both know there's a doorbell camera. Jasmine's smile thinned. Of course you're recording us, she said to the live. She always is. Doorbell camera points at the street, I said. Protects you too. Denise lifted both hands again. Okay, she said. Mediator, cadence back. Let's try another tack. Lorraine, you want accountability. Jasmine, you want relief. What if we agree, just agree, to sit down with a neutral party this week? Church counselor, maybe. Keep the lawyers paused. Keep the internet off. No one admits fault on camera. We pick a plan that saves face. Relief looks like restitution, I said, and safety looks like distance. That's the plan. Jasmine's eyes flared. Distance, she said, like the word tasted like a dare. From your own daughter. From anyone who breaks things and then asks to be paid for it, I said. She stared past me into the house at the gallery of our old lives. For a heartbeat, her face lost its angles and became the kid who used to lean on my shoulder in checkout lines. Bored and affectionate. Then the door shut behind her eyes again. You always wanted a perfect family photo, she said to the live. Now you have a perfect boundary instead. Denise shifted her weight. Jasmine, she stepped back. A small choreographed retreat that kept her in frame. 5 p.m. Friday, she said. Cash or I fix it my way. Service has been completed, I said evenly. If you contact me again for money, contact my lawyer instead. She smiled like she'd been waiting for that line. Hear that? She asked her audience. She wants the state in our living room. Jasmine, Denise said. A warning now. Enough. She cut her eyes at her. Whose side are you on? The side where this doesn't burn down your life, she said. She rolled her shoulder, a shrug that tried to look careless and landed on brittle. Take your boundaries and have a nice night, she said to me. To the live, thanks for listening. Be kind to yourselves. She tapped the screen. The red tag disappeared. For a beautiful, dangerous second, the air felt like it might steady. Then my phone buzzed in my hand. A new notification slid onto the lock screen. You've been tagged in a post. Jasmine's friend was already tapping, thumbs like a sewing machine. Something uploaded. The phone hummed again. Another notification. Video posted. When boundaries become abuse. I didn't open it. I didn't have to. I knew the shape. 20 seconds clipped from 2 hours. My voice without my face. A cut from don't do that to I will without the sentences in between. A thumbnail in which my hand looks like it's reaching, not emphatically staying at my side. Delete it, I said to Jasmine, and heard the exhaustion in my own voice. She looked at me with something like pity. You can't erase the truth, she said, and slid the envelope back under her arm like it didn't weigh a pound. Denise rubbed her jaw, thinking fast. Lorraine, send me the link, she said. I'll ask her to take it down. She won't, I said. Then I'll ask the friend, she said. Half those posts pop because they're sloppy. Maybe we can. My phone buzzed again. A third notification stacked itself on the other two. HOA, community board, emergency topic, police at Hayes. What happened? Across the street, Gerald's door opened half a foot and stopped. A neighbor 2 houses down stepped onto his porch with a bowl and a spoon, like this was a show. I felt the ache in my jaw settle into something clean and hard. I turned my phone so both of them could see the screen. Here's what happens next, I said. Any post stays up. It gets preserved with the time. Any accusation gets a letter. Every cut clip gets a full clip attached. And in the morning, the detective gets names. Jasmine's eyes flicked, calculating. She wasn't afraid. Not yet. But something in her appraiser's gaze adjusted. Value, risk, return. See you Friday, she said, and turned away with the packet still tucked under her arm like proof of a dare. Denise watched her go. I'll call you, she said to me. Low tonight. Call Vanessa, I said. She nodded once, then followed Jasmine to the curb. The live was over, but the comments were just beginning. My phone stacked them into a little tower at the top of the screen. I could feel the neighborhood thread thickening like weather. The SUV sat in my driveway, not moving, a gravity well for drama and dust. I stepped back inside and shut the door. The house's quiet wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that holds its breath for the next knock. The knock came 3 minutes later, 2 quick raps. professional. Through the pane, a woman in a blue blazer waited with a folder, polite smile fixed in place. "Ms. Hayes," she said when I opened, "I'm with the Homeowners Association. We've had some concerns raised. Could we have a quick word before tonight's emergency agenda?" My phone buzzed again, Vanessa calling, and on the screen behind her name, the preview of Jasmine's video rolled without sound. My face paused mid-syllable, captioned what she really said. Vanessa's call cut through the HOA rep's careful smile. "Pick up," she texted. "Put me on speaker." I held up a finger to the woman in the blazer. "1 minute." Then I answered and tapped speaker. "Ms. Hayes," Vanessa said, genial and edged. "Evening. I've seen the post. We've preserved it. We've issued a takedown request to the platform, and I've added a defamation clause to the settlement. Also, Northline just pushed the claim from preliminary to finalized. Payout $7,500. They fast-tracked due to comprehensive coverage and the recorded evidence." The HOA rep's eyebrows lifted. "Oh, congratulations, you now have a deposit receipt to reference as part of restitution," Vanessa said. "Bring any board concerns to my office tomorrow at noon. I'll take them. Miss Hayes, don't discuss details on the porch." I ended the call. The rep cleared her throat. "We're concerned about noise and police presence," she said, "and public posts naming the association." "I've retained counsel," I said. "She'll meet you tomorrow at noon." Relief washed over her face. She could pass the heat. "Thank you." She handed me a flyer about civility and complaint channels, then retreated down the path like someone leaving a backyard with a skittish dog inside. I printed the email from North. Final payout, $7,500. Claim ID, AC confirmation. I folded the page into the growing packet on my table and taped a deposit receipt from my bank on top. Timestamp, last 4 digits, balance swing, paper and teeth. Vanessa texted a place for morning. Neutral ground, conference room in the old bank building, 10 a.m. She added, "She come if Denise convinces her. It's a chance to keep it private. Expect the friend. We keep it short, specific, enforceable." I slept like a woman under an alarm. The conference room had once been a vault. Smooth concrete, thick door open to the hall like a yawning steel moon. Vanessa laid out a simple table. 3 copies of the settlement agreement, signature tabs flagged, a printed copy of Jasmine's post with a blue sticky that read "Preserve," the transcript, and the doorbell stills. Jasmine arrived at 10:06 with her hood down and her advisor in tow. The same friend from last night, eyeliner, sharp enough to count as an argument. Denise followed, hands open, mediator face already on. Vanessa stood, smiled, "Hello," without giving anyone the ground. "Thanks for coming," she said, phones off on the table, face down. Jasmine's friend made a show of reluctance, then did it. Denise did it without prompting. Jasmine slid her phone onto the wood inch by inch like testing ice. Vanessa nodded to me. "Lorraine." I placed my phone face down next to hers and kept my eyes on the paper, not the people. "Here's how this works," Vanessa said. 10 minutes. We walk through the agreement. "Any questions?" you asked. "If you sign, we file it with the court this afternoon so it has teeth. If you don't, we proceed to civil complaint, and I contact the detective with full names. No one gets surprised." Jasmine's friend crossed her arms. "You can't threaten her." "That's not a threat," Vanessa said pleasantly. "It's a calendar." She slid the agreement toward Jasmine. "This is straightforward. You admit responsibility for property damage as defined by the law. Language mirrors your own words in the attached transcript. You agree to restitution. Total $7,500 paid in installments over 8 months. She tapped the AC confirmation, plus $500 covering the deductible, plus fees associated with the process server. You agree to remove any social media posts referencing the incident and to refrain from future defamation. You agree to a boundaries clause. No uninvited visits to Ms. Hayes' home. Communications limited to logistics via email. You agree to complete a 6-week counseling program. Financial responsibility and conflict resolution through a certified provider. Finally, you sign a written apology acknowledging the harm, not just the cost. She slid a second page forward. Exhibit A payment schedule. Dates in a clean column. The first line, $1,000 due on or before Friday, 5 p.m. Next line, $1,000 on the 1st of next month, and so on through 8 months, with a $500 line at the end for the deductible. Late fees accrue, Vanessa said. Missed 2. The full amount accelerates. It's enforceable. Jasmine scanned the first page with practiced boredom, then stopped at the numbers. $7,500, she said, as if hearing them for the first time. Final payout, Vanessa said. Your mother will apply it to repair costs you caused. You will repay her. That's how accountability works. She looked up at me, eyes bright with a dare. Or, you could just give it to me, and we'd be done. We'd be done is what you said on my porch. I said, this is done. You pay it back. You stop. We heal. Her laugh was a tiny shard. Heal, she said, tasting the word like something spoiled. Denise leaned an elbow on the table. Jasmine, she said gently, this is fair. You signed worse lease terms on a studio apartment with peeling paint. This is your mama, not a landlord from Craigslist. Her friend kicked her under the table with her eyes. You don't have to sign anything, she told Jasmine. This is coercion. Vanessa's smile didn't move. Coercion would be me dangling a false charge to force a signature. I'm not dangling anything. I'm naming the options. You already confessed on record. This is compassion with a notary. Jasmine's silence lengthened into a performance. She flipped to the back page and found the signature line. Her finger hovered, then veered to the defamation paragraph. I'll remove last night's video, she said, but I'm not apologizing for telling my story. Your story accused her of abuse, Vanessa said. The doorbell camera says otherwise. She slid a still across the table. You took her keys off the hook while she was on a call. She reached to take them back. You pulled away. She let go, and then you left. No grab, no squeeze, no bruise. You've told a version that gets clicks and puts a target on your mother's face in her own neighborhood. She didn't look at the photo. She looked at me. You sent a stranger to my door with papers like I'm a criminal. You committed a crime, I said, and then you tried to get paid for it. Tried, she smiled small. You just told the internet you got $7,500. Vanessa didn't allow the pivot. Read the counseling clause, she told her. That's the only line I'll negotiate on. If you want a different provider, fine. If you want an online course to cover the first 2 weeks, fine. Everything else stands. Why would I pay her when insurance already did? She asked, voice cool as an edge. Because you are the reason the money exists, I said. It's not a prize, it's a repair. She pushed the paper back like it had grazed her skin. No, Denise rubbed her face. Jasmine, I said no. She pointed at the first line. Admit responsibility in writing. She laughed again. You think I'm stupid. Vanessa kept her tone gentle. I think you're tired of running spins. This is a clean stop. You sign, you pay, you take the posts down, you get your classes done, you breathe. In a year, you and your mother can see each other without an attorney at the edge of the room. Or, her friend said brightly, we counter, you know, for emotional distress from her harassment. She's already weaponizing her HOA. She's got the church gossiping. She's trying to bankrupt you with legal fees. Vanessa turned to the friend like a teacher explaining gravity. If you file a counterclaim, you'll need an affidavit under oath. And because you filmed and posted an edited clip, your credibility becomes Exhibit A against you. I am not your lawyer. I cannot give you advice, but I can tell you what happens in Discovery when people put a story online and then sit in a chair under oath. The friend's mouth closed on a shape that didn't have words yet. Jasmine tapped the page with one nail. Take out admit responsibility. No, Vanessa said. That line protects her if this falls apart. Then I won't sign. Vanessa didn't blink. Okay, she said, and slid a new document from her folder. Then this is your next piece of paper. It's a civil complaint. Property damage, intentional infliction, defamation, and a motion for a temporary restraining order. To keep you from stepping on her porch or tagging her online while the case proceeds. It includes this number. She tapped the top corner. $10,000 in damages and fees to start, which will grow if you keep at the posts. You'll be served again by end of day. Denise's hand lifted like she could slow the weather. Hang on, Denise, Vanessa said without looking at her. You called me last night to say you didn't want this to burn down her life. This is the only door with the fire exit sign over it. Silence expanded. The vault held it like a bell holds a note. Jasmine broke first. I'll do the counseling, she said. I'll take the posts down. I'll agree to not going to the house. Her eyes were steady on me now. No flare, just blade. But I'm not paying you $7,500. It's restitution, I said, not tribute. I'm not paying you for using me to get a payout, she said. Denise closed her eyes for 2 beats. That's not what happened, she said. It's what I'm saying happened, she said. Vanessa slid the agreement back to her with a pen. You don't have to sign today, she said. You can think, but at 5 p.m. Friday, we stop offering this. After that, we file. She looked at the pen like it insulted her. She pushed her chair back with a careful scrape and stood. We're done, she said. Her friend stood too, triumphant on principle. Denise remained seated, eyes on the table, jaw working, a stubborn problem. Jasmine, she said quietly, pay the woman back. You don't have to like it. You just have to stop making it worse. She looked at her like she'd switched languages. You're supposed to be on my side. I am, she said. This is the side where you still have a future you recognize. She held her stare a second longer than comfort, then looked at me. Cash Friday, she said. Last chance. Payment goes the other direction. I said. She gave me the kind of smile people give strangers in customer service when they're about to file a complaint. I'll fix it my way, she said softly, so only I and the vault heard. Don't, I said. She turned on her heel and walked out. Her friend followed, throwing a line over her shoulder. You'll hear from us. Denise gathered her phone, hesitated, put it back, and finally met my eyes. I'll try again, she said. Call Vanessa, I said. She nodded once, sad and old, and went after her. The vault door hummed in the hinge. Vanessa exhaled through her nose and stacked the papers into 2 neat piles. If signed, and file next. She slid the deposit receipt to the top of the first. The civil complaint to the second. You did well, she said. I feel like I just lost a lung. That's what boundaries feel like the first month, she said. She texted the process server 3 words, hold, file Friday. Then she circled the defamation sticky and wrote in neat block letters, preserve all. On the sidewalk outside, a car door slammed. Raised voices faded down the block. My phone buzzed. A new post notification, then another. When I opened one, it spun and errored. The platform had pulled it after our takedown request and 24 neighbor reports. A small win, not a victory, but something. Vanessa slid the agreement into an envelope with a bright tab. If she calls before Friday and says yes, we'll meet at a notary. If she doesn't, we file, I said. We file, she said, and we keep the posts in a folder with tabs. She walked me to the elevator. Eat, she said as the doors opened. Sleep. Turn your phone face down for an hour. Call a friend who remembers the good parts and won't ask for the ugly ones. I nodded. Paper and teeth, she said, and the doors slid shut at home. I taped the deposit receipt to the fridge like weird refrigerator art project, proof that the world still had shapes. I put the unsigned agreement in the drawer where Samuel used to keep school permission slips. The doorbell chimed. A delivery box leaned on the mat. Headlight assemblies ordered on rush. One concrete step toward whole. At 4:38 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The same area code as before. Unknown, you made a mistake. Unknown, last chance to keep this quiet. I didn't answer. I forwarded the texts to Vanessa and labeled the thread agent. Then I set my phone face down and went to the sink to wash a coffee mug I didn't remember using. 10 minutes later, the door rattled quick, testing, like fingers trying to decide if a lock respected them. I froze, then moved slow to the front window and stood to the side where the living room was a mirror. A figure in a hoodie stood on my porch, face tilted just enough that the doorbell camera would catch only a shadow. They reached for the knob again. I started recording on my phone and hit the doorbell intercom. Leave, I said, voice even. You're on camera. The figure flinched, then leaned toward the lens and whispered something I couldn't make out. They lowered a hand toward something in their waistband, glanced at the street, and stepped off the porch as if they owned the steps. They moved to the driveway, reached for the SUV's door, and pulled something silver from the seam where door met panel. A key. My spare, the one I'd tucked in a magnetic box behind the wheel well for emergencies. And forgotten, like people forget that old maps can still get you lost. Leave, I said again into the doorbell intercom. You're on camera. The hood turned just enough that the lens caught a cheekbone and a slice of mouth. Then the figure pocketed the key and moved off the property at a casual angle. The kind of casual that wants to be read as innocence. I called the non-emergency line, gave the incident number, added attempted entry and tampering, and sent the clip to Officer Martinez with the subject line, spare key taken, visible on video. Then I walked the perimeter in a tight, methodical loop, like an animal checking the edges of its cage. Back latch locked, garage down, rear windows secure. I ordered a mobile locksmith on rush, texted Vanessa the clip, and labeled a new folder, tampering 1. Key. By noon, the rumors were ahead of me. A deacon from church texted a long paragraph about prayerfully considering both sides and public perception. A neighbor DM'd me a screenshot of the HOA thread with my name in 4 different fonts, some kind, some sharp, most hungry. Someone had posted a still from last night's live, a frame that made my half-raised hand look like a threat instead of what it was. Another someone had added a caption, boundaries or bullying. You decide. Northline Cole. Ms. Hayes, quick heads up, the rep said in a careful tone. We received an anonymous tip this morning alleging you staged the damage for a payout. The room tilted a half-degree. From whom? I said. They didn't identify, she said. We're required to note and log, given your doorbell footage, police report, assessor's documentation, and the fact that funds already cleared. This goes into the not credible pile unless new info appears. But I wanted you to know. Thank you, I said. The bad taste in my mouth wasn't shock. It was recognition. I forwarded the Northline call summary to Vanessa and added a note in the paper trail. Anonymous fraud tip logged, 12:14 p.m. The locksmith arrived 20 minutes later. He was young and brisk and spoke in the soothing tone of someone who's used to being called after a break. He rekeyed the front and back doors, then the deadbolt on the garage. He knelt in my driveway with a tiny screwdriver and popped the SUV's old locks like they were toys. New cores, he said, and ditched the magnetic box. I already did, I said. He handed me a small packet of keys. 2 sets, he said. One for you, one for the person you trust most. He looked at my face and didn't add a joke. I paid, logged the receipt, and texted Vanessa. House and car rekeyed. Invoice saved. She replied with a thumbs up and a line. Detective wants the tampering clip. You okay if I send? I typed yes and added the detective to the email thread. At 3:02 p.m., Denise called. I let it ring once, twice, then took it. Before you say anything, she said, I'm sorry about last night. I thought I could talk her down. I can't, I know, I said. She's with the friend, she said. The friend is oxygen to this kind of fire. I've asked her to leave twice. She laughs. Tell the friend, discovery is colder than she thinks, I said. Tell her oath is not a filter she controls. I did, she said. I also told Jasmine to sign. She threw betrayal at me like a dish. We were quiet a beat. You going to the HOA thing? She asked. It's at 6. I'll be there, I said. I'll be there, she said. I can at least say out loud that you're not a monster. Appreciate it, I said, and ended the call before the gratitude could wobble into old grief. By late afternoon, the thread on the HOA board had mutated from what happened to what should be allowed. A committee chair posted an emergency agenda. Decibel limits, police presence, protocol, tone on community platforms. The subtext wasn't subtle. We will police feelings if we cannot police facts. At 5:11 p.m., a voicemail landed from a blocked number. The transcription read like it had been chewed by dull teeth. Hey Lorraine, word is you're cashing out on this little accident. That's insurance fraud. Unless, there was a real vandal. I can call that in too. Would be a shame if Northline had questions. Handle this privately, like with cash, before it gets messy. I played it twice to hear the timbre. Not Denise, not a kid, a man, mid-30s to 40, putting on a reasonable coat over a shake in his voice. I forwarded it to Vanessa and to the detective and labeled it Agent Voicemail Number 2, Fraud Threat. Then I printed the transcript and stapled it to the texts. At 5:47 p.m., I dressed like armor, clean shirt, quiet shoes, the face you wear to funerals and custody hearings. I slid the tablet with the exhibits into a tote. The sun was low enough to make everything look nicer than it was. As I locked the door, Gerald called across the street. You heading to the meeting? Yeah, I said. People are, he flapped a hand, imitating noise. For what it's worth, we told 2 different folks to take down their hot takes and go touch grass. Thank you, I said. He looked relieved to be thanked for something. The HOA conference room smelled like coffee, dry erase marker, and tension. Folding chairs faced a long table with name placards and a bowl of mints. The board president, a woman who had once coordinated the block Halloween parade with military precision, called the meeting to order with a click of her pen. We have 3 items, she said, voice pitched to carry over the murmur. Noise and police presence rules, online conduct, and a specific concern raised about a recent incident on Oakwood Drive. Heads turned. The room tilted toward me, and then, away like a tide. I raised my hand. I'll keep it brief, I said when she nodded to me. I walked to the front with the tote and placed 3 things on the table. A printed still of the hoodie tampering, the transcript clip where Jasmine said, "I destroyed your car," and the locksmith invoice. "I won't litigate my life here," I said. "This is what matters to this room. There was a crime. I reported it. I have evidence. I'm handling it in court, not on the internet. I will not discuss family specifics or respond to rumors. If you have questions about safety, I'm here for those. If you have questions about my character, ask the people who've borrowed my ladder and eaten my husband's ribs in this clubhouse after his funeral." A small noise went through the chairs, the kind that happens when people remember they were there for something good. A man in a golf shirt raised his hand. "Are the police going to be at your house again?" "Probably," I said, "because I'll call them if anyone comes onto my property to intimidate me." A woman with a careful bob asked, "Are you going to sue the H?" "No," I said. "I'm going to ask that you enforce your own platform rules about defamation and edited videos." The board president nodded like she'd been waiting for a thing she could do. "We've already removed 2 posts," she said, "and we'll put a moratorium on incident speculation threads." Another hand, arms crossed so tight the knuckles were white. "Did you grab her?" the woman asked, daring me to say no. I held her stare for 2 seconds, then slid the still from the doorbell camera across the table to the board president instead of to the questioner. "No," I said, "and the video shows that if the detective decides to release that clip publicly, she will. Until then, I won't. I won't audition truth for people who prefer the trailer." Denise stood from 3 rows back. "I'm Auntie Denise," she said to the room like she was announcing a weather change. "I've known Lorraine for 15 years. She's not perfect. Neither am I. Neither is the kid I love like blood. But this neighbor right here is handling a nightmare the way adults are supposed to. Paperwork, police, lawyers. If you're tempted to turn it into content, don't." It wasn't a speech that wins awards, but it shifted the era degree. The president scribbled "online policy in force" on her agenda and looked relieved to be writing something that sounded like control. A phone buzzed in the quiet. My phone. I checked the screen and felt my stomach drop and settle like a boat over a wave. "Northline CU Special Investigations Unit." I stepped back from the table and answered, voice low. "Ms. Hayes," the caller said, professional, neutral. "We're required to tell you when we receive a formal allegation. A party identifying herself as a witness has submitted a written statement alleging you staged the damage." She attached a clip purporting to show you coaching your daughter. "We've added it to your file. Send me a copy," I said. "We can't share their submission," he said, "but we can confirm receipt. We also note you provided the full-length doorbell video." The clip attached to their allegation appears to be the same scene, shortened. "Your claim remains closed and paid. We're not clawing anything back. We simply log." "Understood," I said. I hung up and texted Vanessa. "SIU got formal allegation plus edited clip. Claim stays paid." She replied, "Good. Keep the call log." The board wrapped the agenda with a promise to circulate guidelines for public discourse, like a recipe for decency could be laminated. People lined up to shake my hand or to avoid it. A man I barely knew leaned in and whispered, "For what it's worth, my brother's kid went sideways for a year. It got better." I nodded like those words could fit anywhere. Outside, dusk made the street look forgiving. Denise walked beside me to the curb. "She filed something," she said without preface. Her friend bragged about mailing papers of her own. "Protection order, counterclaim." The friend uses words like dots and hopes. One hits a heart. "Vanessa will see it when it lands," I said. Denise looked tired enough to stop. "You okay?" "No," I said, "but I'm steady." She squeezed my shoulder once, like women do when they know a hug would break something. At home, the house smelled like lemon cleaner from the locksmith's hands. I put the exhibits back in their folder, logged the HOA minutes link, and set an 8 a.m. alarm titled, "Call Vanessa, File Friday." The doorbell pinged with a new motion alert. I checked the feed. It was only Gerald bringing my trash bin up from the curb. The normal hurt in a good way. At 9:06 p.m., my voicemail pinged again. Jasmine's voice poured into the room, in a tone I hadn't heard since she was 10 and wanted a sleepover. Bright, persuasive, weaponized. "Hey mama, people keep sending me notes about fraud. Seems like a mess. You don't want that. You know what fixes mess. Cash, you give me the $7,500 and I will go on live right now and say it was all a misunderstanding, that you and I are good, that nobody needs to bother. Otherwise, you know how fast these things spread. Love you." I didn't throw the phone. I forwarded the audio to Vanessa, and the detective flagged it voicemail number 3, offered to clear for cash, and set my phone face down so hard the case clicked. I stood at the sink, hands braced, and watched the window turn into a mirror. The reflection made the kitchen look like a set, all props and light. I thought of the neighbor's whisper, "It got better," and filed it under future where I couldn't reach it yet. The night thinned. I made a list because lists are how you keep your brain from running its own live stream. Call Vanessa. File civil if no signature. Send detective tampering clip. Timestamps. Order dashcam for replacement vehicle. Church. Email pastor. Re-gossip policy. Declined to meet both sides. Revisit counseling list for me. My phone buzzed on the counter like a thing impatient to be used. A new email slid into the notifications. Clerk of court. Notice of filing. Subject line, defendant's counter-complaint and motion. I opened it. The PDF loaded like a curtain lifting. Her name on top, my name under defendant. The words below did the thing words do when they're used wrong. They made a shape I recognized and turned it into a threat. Vanessa called as I reached the second page. She filed. She said, "Sit tight. I'm drafting our answer and the motion for fees. Tomorrow, we move." I didn't sleep so much as hold my place in the dark. At 7:58 a.m., Vanessa's email landed with the steady thump of a hammer on a nail. Answer plus motion to strike plus sanctions. She'd annotated the PDF for me like a teacher. Denies PP49, abuse allegations. Attached, doorbell transcript. Affirmative defenses, truth, consent, recording in own home, litigation privilege, exhibits, settlement draft. $7,500 deposit receipt, $500 deductible, HOA takedown confirmations, unknown agent texts, plus voicemail threats. Her subject line ended with filing 9:30 a.m. Troll request included. I showered, put on the clean shirt version of yesterday, and drove to the courthouse with the envelope that had become a part of my arm. The building smelled like old paper and floor wax. Vanessa met me outside the clerk's window with a travel mug and a "we're fine" nod. She wore a suit the color of a cool morning and a tie that didn't ask for attention. She filed a counter-complaint for emotional distress and a motion to restrain, she said, flipping through her copy. The affidavit leans on the edited clip and community fear. She also asks for $10,000 in damages. She tapped the number. That's a wish list, not a fact. "Can you get the edited clip?" I asked. "In discovery," she said. "For now, the clerk already has our exhibits. Truth is stubborn." She slid our stack across the counter. The clerk stamped each page with a calm cut chunk that felt like someone nailing siding onto a house that would not blow down. She handed us a case number, a tentative courtroom assignment, and a single-sheet order with clean black letters. "Hearing on temporary restraining order, Monday, 9 a.m. Calendared," Vanessa said. "Good, it forces clarity." We walked to the sheriff's office on the first floor. Vanessa handed over the service packets with the addresses I'd given her. The deputy behind the glass glanced at the names, made a note, and said, "We'll try residence and workplace. If she dodges, we come back with nail and mail." "Do it politely," Vanessa said. "Family matter." The deputy's smile said he'd seen too many versions to be surprised by ours. "Always," he said. Back in the hallway, Vanessa leaned a shoulder against the marble and looked tired in a way she never showed in conference rooms. "You okay?" I said. "I keep thinking there's a version where she signs and we never stand under fluorescent lights." "There might still be," she said. "Crisis has a way of getting boring for people who feed on it." We stepped out into a morning that smelled like rain that wouldn't arrive. On my phone, a new email blinked. "Clerk, service confirmation." The server had handed the packet to Jasmine in the lobby of a co-working space she favored. Signature scribbled, date, time. An attachment showed a photo of the back of her hoodie as she walked away. Vanessa texted, "Hearing stands, TRO, request in," then "do not respond to anything direct from her or the friend. Everything goes to me." I typed, understood, and set my phone to send her every incoming with 3 taps. At noon, the detective called. "We've added the tampering clip and the voicemail to your file," she said. "An officer will swing by around 4 to take a supplemental. You're doing everything right. Stay boring." I stayed boring with a vengeance. I scanned receipts. I labeled folders. I ate a sandwich I couldn't taste and drank water like a prescription. I texted Pastor Williams a short note. "Appreciate prayers. No joint meeting. Legal in motion." She replied with a heart and "will keep gossip off the bulletin." a sentence that deserved a plaque. At 2:13 p.m., my phone lit with 3 new messages in swift succession. Jasmine, you did this to me. Jasmine, you want to see me in court. Fine, you'll get a show. Jasmine, I'll take the car if you won't use it. I didn't respond. I forwarded them to Vanessa. She replied, good, keep not responding. Then, 20 minutes later, she called. She filed a supplement to her motion. She said, almost amused, a screenshot of your HOA post asking them to remove defamation, offered as proof that you're controlling the narrative. Judges love that sentence. What do judges do with it? I asked. Nothing, she said. They look at the actual harm and the actual evidence. At 3:41 p.m., Officer Martinez knocked exactly on time, like people do when they know you need someone to be what they say. I handed him the new texts, the voicemail transcript, a printout of the SIU call log, and a thumb drive labeled tampering 1. Key. We'll add a patrol pass tonight, he said. Light presence. Sometimes a cruiser rolling by is enough to persuade. Thank you, I said. It felt like admitting I needed bedtime checked. At 4:09 p.m., Vanessa forwarded a scheduling email. Trial hearing confirmed for Monday 9 a.m. Courtroom 406. Civil case management set for the following Thursday, she added. We'll prep Sunday 3 p.m. my office. Bring calm. I texted, I'll bring paper, you bring teeth. She sent a laughing emoji and a thumbs up, which in her language was a hug. I set alarms like sandbags. Sunday 3, prep. Monday 9, court. Friday 5, deadline. No signature means file. Even though we'd already filed, the habit mattered. It made the future have edges. At 5:02 p.m., a text from Denise. She's rattled. The friend is pouring gas. I'm trying to get her to go quiet through the weekend. I typed, thank you. I meant, I wish we could go back to before the word boundary meant goodbye. A Northline email pinged at 5:19 p.m. Claim closed. Final confirmation. I printed it and stuck it behind the deposit receipt like a matched set. At 6:03 p.m. A delivery driver dropped a small box, dashcam. I read the manual like it was scripture and mounted it carefully. Cable tucked, angle right. The red light winked alive, a thing that would remember when I could not. Dusk gathered, the street did the evening shuffle of sprinklers and stroller loops. My doorbell chimed. A neighbor girl selling school fundraiser candles at the wrong time to the wrong house. I bought 2 anyway, and sent her away with a smile. I hoped I meant. At 8:11 p.m., my phone buzzed with a new email. Clerk, notice of export request. Jasmine's lawyer, she had one now, or had borrowed one for a letterhead, had filed a last-minute request to move the TRO hearing up to Saturday, citing ongoing fear and escalating behavior. Vanessa typed back before I finished reading. Denied. Monday stands. Then, see. Paper drama. I stood at the sink, looking at the driveway darken. The SUV's reshaped lines turned the reflected sky into strange geometry. The dashcam's tiny eye kept vigil. I told myself to breathe. At 9:03 p.m., my phone lit again. Jasmine. No text. A call. I watched it ring out and felt the part of me that still wanted to be a mother twitch like a nerve under a bruise. The voicemail landed a minute later. I put it on speaker and stood in the doorway so the air could carry it away. Mama, she said, and for the first time in days, it sounded like the word and not the weapon. You don't have to do this. You can stop right now. Give me the payout. I'll tell everyone it was a misunderstanding. I'll make it go away. Last chance. A breath. Don't make me come get what's mine. I forwarded it to Vanessa and the detective. Labeled voicemail for, come get what's mine, and added the timestamp to my notes. Then I locked the doors twice and checked the windows like a prayer. At 10:12 p.m., the doorbell pinged. Motion, a shape at the edge of the frame. Hoodie again, same height, same deliberate pace. They didn't come to the porch this time. They moved to the driveway, looked up and down the street, and tested the SUV's door like they knew what they wanted. The dashcam woke with a small LED blink. The figure noticed, hesitated, then leaned into the driver's side. The camera caught a face at last, a sharp angle of cheek, a flash of eyeliner. Not Jasmine, the friend. She grinned at her reflection like she'd been dared by a mirror. She reached into her pocket and held up a key. My key. She looked straight at the dashcam and mouthed something I didn't need sound to understand. Mine. I hit the doorbell intercom. Police are en route, I said, and tapped 911 with the same finger. The friend flinched, hissed a laugh like a cat, and slid the key into the lock, forgetting that I'd had them all changed. The key stuck. She yanked, panicked, then bolted toward the street. Red recording lights blinked from 2 angles at once. My phone timer ticked in the corner. Somewhere across the street, a neighbor's shade lifted. Witness. I gave the dispatcher my address and the words that matter. Restraining order hearings set for Monday. Prior vandalism. Attempted entry. Key in hand. I have video. She told me to stay inside. I did. 2 minutes later, a cruiser rolled quiet onto the block. The friend was gone, melting into dark like a lesson you don't want to learn twice. The officer checked the locks, took my statement, and watched the clip on my tablet twice. Then again. Good camera, he said. Redundancy, I said. I'm learning. He nodded. We'll file this as tampering and attempted entry. The detective will add it to Monday's packet. When he left, the house settled on its foundation with a small sound like a back-releasing. I stood in the living room and stared at the door until the wood looked like a map. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. You think you're safe because you have paper. Paper burns. I forwarded it to Vanessa and the detective, labeled it Agent Text, Paper Burns, and stared at the words until they lost their threat and turned into fonts. Sunday, 3 p.m., Vanessa's office. Prep for court. Night air held its breath against the windows, and somewhere in the dark, my daughter dialed, hung up, dialed again. Sunday had the texture of a waiting room. I vacuumed glass I'd already vacuumed. I wiped the counter twice. At 2:20 p.m., I printed fresh copies of everything until the printer complained and then apologized in its little digital way. I placed tabs like a jeweler. Transcript. Doorbells still. Tampering 1 key. Tampering 2 friend. Northline. $7,500. Deductible $500. HOA takedowns. Unknown agent threats. Voicemail number 3. Plus number 4. At 2:58, I parked outside Vanessa's building. The vault door yawned open like a promise. Vanessa had a yellow legal pad, 2 pens, and a half-eaten protein bar. She waved me in like a pilot bringing a plane to gate. Ground rules, she said. She didn't sit yet. Tomorrow is short. Judge wants clarity. You answer only what's asked. No speeches. Yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor, I don't know. Or that's in Exhibit B. You don't turn to her. You don't turn to the friend. You look at the judge and the paper holds your hand. I nodded. The room smelled faintly of toner and peppermint gum. She walked me through the outline. Their motion, restraining order on the basis of fear, abuse, and community impact. Our response, deny abuse, show evidence of vandalism, extortion, tampering, attempted entry, defamation. Standard for a TRO is likelihood of success and irreparable harm. Facts beat adjectives. We practiced answers. She lobbed questions in the judge's clipped cadences. Did you strike your daughter? No, Your Honor. Did you threaten her? No, Your Honor. Did you record her without consent? In my own home, on my device, in a one-party consent state. Exhibit A transcript. Why are you here? To ask the court to stop ongoing harassment while we pursue restitution through civil channels. She marked each clean response with a small tick that felt like approval without sugar. Artifacts, she said, sliding the tabs toward me like a dealer. When you mention one, touch it. Judges are magpies. They like shiny proof. We calibrated the order. Doorbell video first. Crime exists. Then transcript. Admission plus $5,000 asked. Then Northline. Real damages, not theater. Then tampering key plus friend. Ongoing threat. Then voicemails, texts, extortion language. Then HOA removals. Community harm from defamation. End with settlement offer. We tried to resolve. She made me say the numbers out loud. $7,500, I said. $500. So 8 monthly payments of $1,000. Final $500. For the deductible. Good, she said. Numbers are anchors. Judges like anchors. She pushed the settlement across the table. Last opportunity language, she said. If she walks in with a pen, we sign it. Moots, the tro. I don't expect it. But keep the door unlocked in your head. We finished at 4:12. She looked at her phone. I'll email the final binder, she said. Sleep. Eat something not made of coffee. On my way out, she added. And remember, you're not there to win a movie. You're there to win the next inch. Late afternoon softened into a color that makes people forgive each other on porches. I made pasta. I ate half. I packed tomorrow's bag like a parent packing for a field trip. Cuppies, chargers, a small bottle of water, breath mints I'd never needed before. At 6:37 p.m., Denise texted. She's restless. Friends here. I'm trying to peel them apart. 10 minutes later, she says she has one last offer. I typed back. Vanessa says any offer goes through her. She sent a grimace emoji that looked like a prayer dot at 7:09 p.m. My phone buzzed. Not Denise, not Vanessa. Jasmine, Jasmine, meet me. No cameras. 10 minutes. Front walk. I stared at the screen, then at the door, then back to the screen. I forwarded the text to Vanessa. She replied, step outside, porch light on, door closed behind you, recorder on, no more than 5 minutes. If she tries to enter, you call 911. I turned on the porch light. I tucked the phone in my palm with the recorder app ready. The night air had a lake chill without the lake. She walked up alone, hoodie down this time, makeup vigilant. The friend wasn't in sight, but I could feel her hovering somewhere like a Wi-Fi network. We can be done, Jasmine said, stopping at the bottom step. Tonight. Okay, I said. Say it. You give me the $7,500. The number came out like a password. No, I said. Then half. She cut her eyes up the street. I'll take half. You keep half. That way no one has to know. Everyone already knows, I said. The judge will too. Tomorrow, I'll go on live, she said quickly, like the words were a rope she could throw across a river. I'll say, I lied. I'll take down everything. I'll apologize. I'll say I made a mistake. You get your precious reputation back and Northline stays out of it. Northline is out, I said. It's closed. Then, it's easier, she said. There's no victim here. There is, I said. You're looking at her. She flinched as if the sentence had a sharp corner she hadn't seen. I'll sign your paper, she said too fast. But the numbers change. No $7,500. No $500. Counseling only. I move on. That isn't accountability, I said. That's PR. Her smile shrank and sharpened. I didn't come here to be lectured. I didn't invite you to negotiate on my porch, I said. Silence pulled. A moth tapped the glass of the porch light like it wanted in. You could still be the good guy, she said softly. People would forgive you. You know they want to. Give them a story where the generous mama forgives her daughter and the neighborhood claps. I'm not auditioning for them, I said. I'm being your mother, the only way left. Her eyes flicked to the camera above the door like a reflex. Neutral third party, she said with a little laugh, trying to lift it into banter. Your favorite, last chance, I said. Sign the agreement as written. We file it. We leave each other alone except for payments and check-ins. Your counselor controls. We stop the bleeding. She stepped onto the first stair into the beam of the porch light. For a second, she looked 14 again, chin up, eyes wet, trying to be brave for a thing she caused and couldn't name. I wanted the muscle that still called itself mother to move. It didn't. It held. I'll fix it my way, she whispered. The old line, raw this time. Don't, I said. My voice surprised me. Gentle, final. She shook her head like shaking off rain. See you in court, she said, and turned. Halfway down the walk, she stopped. By the way, she said over her shoulder without looking back, your spare isn't where you think it is. She tossed something. It arced through light and clinked on the step. My old, now useless key, popped from the friend's panicked yank the night before. She kept walking. A shadow peeled off the darker shadow near the curb. The friend, they got in a car and rolled away with their lights still off for half a house length. Like the street wouldn't notice. I picked up the key, logged the time, dropped it into a zip bag, and added relinquished with a Sharpie. I didn't remember buying dot at 8:22 p.m. Vanessa texted, nice restraint. See you 8:30 a.m. outside 46. We're the same calm. I set my phone on the counter, face down. I stood at the window and watched the driveway until the SUV's shape became only a darker shape. I thought of Samuel's laugh the night we drove home in that thing, of Jasmine asleep in the back under a sweatshirt like a tent, the way the dashboard light made us look like a small planet. I washed the pasta pot. I set 2 alarms. I laid my suit jacket over a chair and my blouse across it. I put the binder on the table and stacked the pens on top like tiny swords. I slept for 3 hours like a book with a thumb holding the place. Morning had sharp corners. I dressed like it could make me credible. I arrived at the courthouse early enough to watch the security guards chat about football and donuts. Vanessa appeared with a leather folder and a travel mug. She looked me over once and nodded like I'd done the assignment. 2 minutes in the hall, she said, then we go in. Across the marble, Jasmine arrived with the friend. no lawyer. Denise trailed 10 steps behind with the face of a woman who's decided that showing up is the only thing left that counts. Jasmine clocked my suit, my binder, Vanessa's briefcase. Her chin tipped a fraction. Vanessa checked the docket pinned to the corkboard. 406, second row, she said. We're after a landlord-tenant emergency and before a dog bite dispute. Keep your answers shorter than a bark. We stood outside the door like pilots at a gate again. A deputy opened it, shooing out a flustered property manager and a tenant clutching a plant. The room beyond buzzed like a beehive that had learned to file. The clerk poked her head out and called, Hayes v. Hayes. Vanessa's hand landed on my shoulder, warm and light, a grounding wire. Ready? She asked, not because she needed the answer, but because I did. Yes, I said. The deputy swung the door wider, and the courtroom's old wood. Someone's coffee rolled over us as the judge took the bench and the clerk said, calling the matter of Hayes versus Hayes. The conference room had once been a vault, smooth concrete, thick door. The day after the hearing, a stationery envelope lay under my welcome mat, my name on the front in Jasmine's handwriting, hurried and careful at once. I stood there with it in my hand and then took it inside because the living room had made room for worse. I opened it at the kitchen table next to the stack of paper that had held my life steady. A single page, the court's restraining order photocopied on the back as if she needed it to stiffen what she was trying to say. Mama, I'm not signing today. I don't know if I will. I'm angry at you and at everyone and at me, but I won't come to the house. I won't post. I won't send anyone. I returned the key. I meant to hurt you, to make you help me. It worked the wrong way. I don't know how to fix it yet. Maybe the classes will help. Maybe I'm writing this so a judge will think I'm good. Maybe I'm writing it because I still know how. I don't know. I'm not saying sorry, right? I can't write it like a form. I did it. I destroyed your car. I said the money. I said the line. I made it worse. That's the truth. It wasn't the apology the agreement required. It wasn't enforceable or notarized or spelled like a lawyer would like. It was a start that didn't belong to me. I took a picture of the letter for the file and then put the paper in a drawer that wasn't for exhibits. The rest of the day was ugly chores that felt like healing. I scheduled the body shop appointment with the $7,500 in hand and the $500 line item written in ink. I emailed the detective a thank you and an update. I sent Vanessa a photo of the letter with the subject line, not exhibit, just note, and she replied, good, keep it that way. At dusk, I bolted the new lock and stood in the driveway with a roll of blue painter's tape. I marked the dents I'd missed in the first pass so the shop wouldn't. A breeze lifted and set the maple leaves back down like quiet applause. The dashcam blinked its little heartbeat. The porch light caught the glass I still hadn't found in the seams and made it shine. My phone buzzed once. Vanessa, status conference set. I'll bring a draft judgment in case she signs. If she doesn't, we keep walking. Proud of you. 2 words landed and stayed. Keep walking. I looked at the house with the curtains we'd picked together, at the photos on the wall that had taken on new weight and hadn't cracked, at the rectangle of concrete where something bad had happened, and the world hadn't ended. I thought of the line I'd been circling every night since the living room. I want justice without losing my daughter. Maybe the lie underneath it was that justice and loss were separate rooms. Maybe the truth was that boundaries are the way you love people who hurt you. Close the door. Leave the light on. I went inside. I set alarms that felt like plans instead of panic. I rinsed a mug and left it upside down on a towel to dry. I turned the recorder app off and put the phone face down, as if it deserved to sleep too, before bed. I walked to the window and looked at the SUV one more time. My reflection broke across the dents and still looked like me. The porch light made the driveway glow like a small stage that wasn't performing anything anymore. The house breathed. So did I. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.